God, Nalini, is it true that the Supreme Court has quoted the Udaipur murder and almost blamed Nupur Sharma for what has happened? Is that right?
Well, Nabila, the Supreme Court bench that's hearing this case has clearly said that Nupur Sharma is to a very large extent responsible to whatever is happening in the country, including what has happened in Udaipur, because without the remarks that were made by Nupur Sharma in the first place, these incidents would not have taken place. They've also gone ahead and said that the kind of fires that have ignited across the country after Nupur Sharma's comments on the Prophet Muhammad, she is directly responsible for that, and she should have, in the capacity of an official spokesperson of the ruling party, been a little bit more careful. Moreover, even on her apology, they have said that she should have come on national TV and apologized to the entire country, because the kind of repercussions that her comments have led to are very serious and the Supreme Court has to take them into consideration. It seems like this petition that was filed by Nupur Sharma asking for the FIRs to be transferred seems to have backfired on her a little bit, because some very, very serious and stern observations have come in from the Supreme Court on this aspect. And we'll have to wait and see exactly what what the order is going to be as to whether or not her plea asking for a transfer of these FIRs to Delhi is something that's going to be accepted, whether the Supreme Court will see that there is an actual threat perception against Nupur Sharma, because of which it is important for them to transfer these FIRs to Delhi. But it seems like they are not going that way, because in very clear words they've said that her petition seeps of arrogance, and it goes on to show that she thinks that the magistrate courts are below her for her to actually appear before them and be a part of this entire investigation. So it doesn't seem like it's going to go in favor of Nupur Sharma before the Supreme Court because of these stern observations. But we can't speculate at this point. We'll have to wait till the end of the hearing to see what the Supreme Court decides in finality.
Right. Anisha, if you're still with us, a quick understanding. All right, cutting across to Nalini. Over to you, Nalini. When the Supreme Court says why Nupur Sharma so far hasn't been arrested, what does that really mean? Is that a direction almost, that a backhanded direction that the Supreme Court is giving, alerting the police that you've arrested many of the others who made comments on the opposite side? Nupur Sharma still remains free. In fact, she's been given additional security. Yes, it's true that she does have threat to life at this point. What we saw in Udaipur is spine-chilling. One can only imagine if a person supporting Nupur Sharma can face that fate. We do understand that Nupur Sharma clearly is right now worried for her own life. At this point, threat to her life could be real. But what happened to the arrest over multiple of those FIRs filed against her for making that comment?
Well, Nabila, it won't be right to speculate as to what the Supreme Court is saying and what the repercussions, most importantly, of that can be. But just last week, if you remember, there was an order that had come out from the Supreme Court in the Zakia Jafri petition, where they had spoken about how the people who have incited and instigated this entire case should be put in the dock. And that should be put in the dock was interpreted to mean, and where we also saw the Gujarat ATS go ahead and arrest R.B. Srikumar as well as Teesta Setalwar. So there are likely to be repercussions of whatever the Supreme Court decides in this case, like we've seen in several cases before as well. But it remains to be seen as to how many aspects of what is being said orally by the Supreme Court will actually make it to the final order that will be passed by them in this case, because that is going to be the most crucial aspect on which any agency that is investigating this matter is going to rely on. It will be the written order of the Supreme Court, not the oral observations that are coming forth right now during the course of the discussion as well as the arguments, because there are a lot of things that the Supreme Court judges say orally but they do not translate into a written order. But at the same time, that does not mean that the oral observations of the Supreme Court have no weighing, because the fact that such stern observations have come in from the Supreme Court means that the Supreme Court has followed whatever has happened very closely, and they feel a little aggrieved by the kind of comments that were made by Nupur Sharma and the lack of apology that was followed after that, because there was a mere apology that was put up on social media, despite the fact that the comments that have caused such a massive outrage was actually made on national television. The Supreme Court's also gone ahead and questioned that just because she is a spokesperson of the ruling party, does that give her the privilege to make comments on national television that clearly defy the law of the land? Because there is a lot of religious sentiments that have been ignited because of Nupur Sharma's comments, And we've seen the repercussions of that on the ground itself, not only in the form of protest, but like is being correctly pointed out by the Supreme Court, even in the Udaipur incident, the initial fire that had ignited this entire issue were the comments that were made by Nupur Sharma. So it remains to be seen exactly as to how many of these oral observations make it to the written order of the Supreme Court and what the Supreme Court orders thereafter. The petition is on the limited aspect of seeking to transfer these FIRs to Delhi, but as to whether or not that happened seems to be in the dock right now before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will have to decide as to what the merits of these petitions filed by Nupur Sharma are there.
You know, Nalini, at this point, what's really interesting here is that Nupur Sharma reached out to the Supreme Court to get relief from many of those FIRs filed in different states. She wanted to be all clubbed in Delhi so she could be, she possibly feels safer in Delhi with her Y+ security that she's been given by the government as well. But it seems like instead, the Supreme Court has come down so heavy on her, given her a sound warning, and also gone on to the layers of ramifications that her comments have really made across the country. And that's surprising that the Supreme Court at this point not only has asked Nupur Sharma at this point to apologize, but has also questioned on why she hasn't been arrested, questioned on many layers on why she did not reach out to the lower courts, why she did not take up the co-panelists if she really thought that their comments were derogatory and defamatory. Why did she not take up a case against them? You know, these are the kinds of statements made by the Supreme Court. What does this really speak of a little more perspective into what the Supreme Court is thinking while hearing a limited petition by Nupur Sharma at this point?
Well, Nabila, it seems to be clear what's in Supreme Court's mind, because first of all, this is the first time that this matter has come up before the Supreme Court, especially in a petition that has been filed by Nupur Sharma herself. Now, like I was stating, she had moved this petition expecting that the matters will be transferred to Delhi, like has been done in several cases before, because there are multiple FIRs that are pending against her across the states. What Nupur Sharma's case was that there is a genuine threat to her life that has been caused because of her comments, due to which it becomes difficult for her to travel to these states and be a part of this investigation. But because she intends to very much be a part of the investigation is why she is asking for all these investigations to be transferred to Delhi. But the Supreme Court, on the other hand, has gone over and beyond what the petitions say and have really gone to the crux of the matter, which are the remarks that were made by Nupur Sharma in the very first place that have led to not only national but international ramifications, where we've seen even other countries come out and clearly speak out against the comments that were made by Nupur Sharma. Along with that, the Supreme Court, that is precisely why they've gone ahead and pulled her up today during the course of the hearing, where they've gone ahead and said that the comments made by Nupur Sharma were not acceptable. They have incited and they have ignited a huge repercussion on the ground in several states across the country. They have also gone ahead and mentioned the Udaipur incident. But at the end of the day, the petition before them is on a limited aspect as to whether or not these FIRs will be transferred. Now, the Supreme Court's made it clear that it seems like Nupur Sharma does not want to be part of these investigations, which is why she is taking this route. She does not want to appear before the sub-magistrates court. But at the same time, as to whether or not they're going to find enough merit in the argument that there is a threat to her life, which is what her lawyer is trying to put across, is something that remains to be seen only till the end of the hearing, because that is what this transfer petition is going to be decided on the basis of, as to whether or not there is a genuine threat to Nupur Sharma's life and if there is a need to transfer these investigations to Delhi. But at the same time, the comments and the observations that have come in from the Supreme Court cannot be ignored, because they are very serious in nature and they also talk about Nupur Sharma's conduct. The Supreme Court in several cases before has spoken about how the media functions and why there is a need for responsible coverage, and that is why the Supreme Court today, when her lawyer said that these comments were made in response to a question that was raised by the anchor, the Supreme Court in clear words said that there should have been a case filed against the anchor as well. So that's how stern the Supreme Court's being about these comments, because they've seen during the course of the past month or so the repercussions that have happened on the ground because of the comments made by Nupur Sharma, and as to whether or not these repercussions and the large-scale impact it has caused is going to eventually affect this petition seeking some sort of relief that has been filed by her is something that remains to be seen to the end of the hearing today.